On the 23rd of October at 4:25 a.m., a report confirms that Ukraine has successfully hacked into a $3.9 billion Chinese satellite system that was covertly aiding Russia's military operations. This cyber operation, which experts describe as one of the most sophisticated digital offensives of the modern era, marks a turning point. It not only demonstrates Kiev's growing dominance in cyber warfare, but also exposes the fragile nature of technological cooperation among authoritarian regimes. The incident reportedly began to unfold late last week, when unusual disruptions were detected across several Russian military communication channels. Analysts initially believed these were the result of internal system failures or Western electronic jamming. However, evidence soon surfaced that pointed directly to a Ukrainian cyber unit, reportedly operating in coordination with Western intelligence partners. The operation targeted a satellite communication grid built and maintained by a Chinese state-owned aerospace company. This network, valued at approximately $3.9 billion, represents one of China's most ambitious space military collaborations. Officially presented as part of Beijing's Silk Road in Space initiative, the program was intended to expand China's global satellite infrastructure. However, intelligence documents leaked over the summer indicated that several of these satellites, reportedly part of the Tianlong 5 constellation, were quietly redirected to serve Russian battlefield logistics after Moscow's communications infrastructure suffered repeated blows during Ukraine's counteroffensives in late 2024. This system had been providing Russia with high-resolution imaging, encrypted battlefield communications, and GPS guidance for its precision weapons. By infiltrating this system, Ukraine effectively turned one of Russia's most prized assets into a liability. The immediate aftermath was chaos for both Moscow and Beijing. Within hours of the breach, Russian military command centers across Donetsk, Luhansk, and Crimea began reporting total communication blackouts. Commanders on the ground found themselves cut off from encrypted satellite channels critical to coordinating drone operations and artillery fire. For a full day, several Russian battalions operated blind, relying on outdated analog communication devices and unsecured mobile networks. In addition, Ukrainian forces gained temporary access to real-time surveillance data that the Chinese satellites had been transmitting to Russian intelligence. For nearly 12 hours, Kiev's military intelligence agency, the HUR, had direct visibility over Russian troop movements, artillery positions, and drone deployments. Ukrainian intelligence sources described this as a window of opportunity, allowing them to launch precision strikes that destroyed several high-value targets, including ammunition depots, radar stations, and at least 6 major command outposts. Cybersecurity experts suggest that the operation was meticulously planned and executed over several months. Rather than a simple breach, Ukraine appears to have employed a multi-layered infiltration strategy. This reportedly involved satellite uplink manipulation, spoofing of ground control commands, and the exploitation of backdoor vulnerabilities within the software systems provided by Chinese defense contractors. This kind of operation requires deep knowledge not only of Russian military communications, but also of China's proprietary satellite architecture, knowledge that, according to analysts, could have been acquired through extensive intelligence collaboration with NATO allies. The success of this hack underscores how cyber warfare has become one of Ukraine's most powerful tools. Since 2022, Ukraine has cultivated an elite digital army known as the IT Army of Ukraine, comprising thousands of volunteer hackers, engineers, and cyber specialists. Over the past 3 years, they have executed hundreds of successful operations targeting Russian logistics and propaganda networks. But this latest attack, breaching a Chinese-built system designed for military-grade resilience, represents an unprecedented level of sophistication and coordination. For Beijing, the implications are deeply unsettling. China has long positioned itself as a global leader in satellite technology, boasting an expanding network of over 700 satellites orbiting Earth. Many of these are part of the Beidou navigation system, China's alternative to the US GPS, which has been increasingly integrated into Russian weapon systems. By demonstrating that even Chinese satellites are vulnerable, Ukraine has exposed the limits of Beijing's technological dominance. More importantly, it has revealed how closely intertwined China's supposedly civilian satellite programs are with Russia's war effort. The timing of the hack was also highly strategic. As Russia faces mounting losses across multiple fronts, its dependency on foreign technology, particularly from China, Iran, and North Korea, has become a lifeline. Ukraine's strike against this satellite network effectively severs one of those lifelines, isolating Russian forces and degrading their command capabilities. In the immediate aftermath, Russian military channels reportedly reverted to older, less secure communication methods, increasing their vulnerability to interception. Western analysts have described this as a cyber decapitation strike, a digital equivalent of taking out an enemy's command headquarters without firing a single missile. A Ukrainian defense spokesperson did not confirm or deny Kyiv's involvement, but emphasized that any system supporting Russian aggression becomes a legitimate target. In Kyiv, President Volodymyr Zelensky later delivered a televised address, stating, "Those who lend their eyes to the aggressor must understand that we can close them at any time." China, meanwhile, faced a diplomatic and technical crisis. It responded with restrained outrage. A spokesperson for China's Ministry of Foreign Affairs denounced what they called baseless accusations and warned against fabricated narratives. However, satellite tracking data analyzed by independent researchers showed that several Chinese satellites went offline temporarily around the time of the breach, suggesting Beijing was attempting to isolate compromised systems. Chinese state media downplayed the reports as routine maintenance operations. Behind closed doors, satellite engineers reportedly scrambled to redesign encryption protocols. Leaked memos suggested an entire division at the China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation was reassigned to cyber vulnerability assessment and counter-infiltration. Russia's public response was, predictably, filled with deflection. The Kremlin dismissed reports of the hack as Western propaganda, claiming that all communications were fully operational. Yet evidence from independent monitoring contradicted this. For nearly 2 days after the attack, Russian reconnaissance drones over eastern Ukraine were grounded, and missile strike frequency dropped sharply. Military analysts interpreted this as a direct result of disrupted satellite-based targeting data. The hack exposed Russia's deep dependency on Chinese systems, as its own domestic satellite infrastructure has decayed under sanctions and underinvestment. Internationally, reactions were swift. Western allies, while officially refraining from public statements, privately expressed admiration. Within NATO, cybersecurity experts hailed the hack as a proof of concept for how coordinated cyber offensives could neutralize enemy assets without conventional escalation. A Pentagon spokesperson noted that Ukraine's ongoing innovations in cyber and electronic warfare are reshaping modern conflict paradigms. Washington intelligence circles quietly confirmed that Western partners had provided technical support, underscoring how deeply integrated Ukraine's cyber defense network has become with NATO systems. Geopolitically, the hack deepens the rift between China and the West. For months, Western intelligence agencies have been monitoring the growing military technical cooperation between Moscow and Beijing. By compromising this system, Ukraine not only exposed China's complicity, but also demonstrated the West's capacity to penetrate Beijing's cyber defenses. The ripple effects are enormous. The incident has sent alarm bells ringing across other nations that rely on Chinese satellite services. Countries in Africa, South America, and Southeast Asia that have adopted China's space infrastructure under the Belt and Road Framework may now reconsider the security risks. China's dream of building a global satellite empire under the Digital Silk Road initiative has suffered a major credibility blow. From a strategic standpoint, Ukraine's operation represents a masterstroke in hybrid warfare. It combines cyber intelligence, electronic warfare, and psychological impact, sending a powerful message that even the most advanced adversaries are not beyond reach. This success not only strengthens Ukraine's position on the digital battlefield, but also undermines the perception of technological invincibility that both Russia and China have carefully cultivated. Yet beneath the triumph lies a subtle warning. The digital battlefield is becoming increasingly blurred, where satellites, data streams, and artificial intelligence systems form the invisible front lines. This operation has likely triggered a global escalation in cyber armament, as nations now invest heavily in offensive programs, fearing they might be next. Intelligence analysts warn of potential retaliatory strikes as China may seek to demonstrate its own cyber capabilities. Ukraine's decision to target a Chinese system was deliberate. It exposed the network of dependencies that sustains Russia's war machine, while forcing China into a defensive posture. By doing so, Ukraine effectively widened the conflict's scope, not through escalation, but through revelation. As the dust settled, one reality became undeniable. Ukraine had just proven that in the 21st century, the balance of power may be determined not by the number of tanks or missiles, but by who controls the code that guides them. In hacking China's satellite system, Ukraine didn't just disrupt Russian operations, it struck at the foundation of the Russia-China alliance, revealing that even the strongest partnerships can crumble under the pressure of technological exposure.